Today I'm going to talk through how I process my kefir. Now you need three things that are non-metallics and non-metal. I've got plastic sieve, I've got a wooden spoon, and I have a little glass jug. Once my kefir is fermented on the side, I put it in the fridge until I've run out, and I pull it out the fridge, and then this kind of fermented kefir is what we strain, and I will show you how I do it. I always do this in the sink just for mess, but I use kiln the jars mainly because they are liquid tight, not airtight. If you use a screw top jar, the gas will expand as the milk ferments, or the bacteria eats the kind of sugar in the milk and it ferments. Then it produces gas, and that gas will blow up the jar. So I use kilner because they are liquid tight, not airtight. So I'm just gonna siphon off a bit in to the sieve, and then I'm not gentle. I just push the milk through the sieve. You can see I'm not soft and gentle. I'm washing it through, and then you're left with the grains of kefir. I don't know. I'm going to come around the camera and see if we can see that. You can see the grains. These little kind of. I spill kefir everywhere. But that's what we do. And then again, you can sieve it into this. Oh shit! Not that much. That's all right, I think. And then we'll just push it through again. I think after doing this for so many years now, I literally let the kind of kefir go on cycle. So there'll be stuff fermenting on the side. When that's fermented, I'll put it in the fridge. This stuff's just come out of the fridge. When this comes out of the fridge, I'll process it, strain it off, because that's the good stuff, the fermented stuff with all the kind of good gut bacteria is in the jar. Obviously, you don't want the jar to fill up too much. In my fridge, I've got my pot of the good kefir, the strained kefir. That is also in a kiln the jar, and then I literally just pop that back into there. Leave this one on the side, and then pop it back in there, and then mash this last little bit through, and literally it's all done in one take. So you can see exactly how quickly and easy it is. This again is a time job. It's a really simple time job. All you've got to do is let it sit on the side and ferment. And there we go. If I kind of give that a little bit of a bash, get the extra kefir greens off, do that, and then as you can see again, they are the fermented grains, and over time they will go. I shared these the other day, and I'm going to share these now with a friend of mine. So I'm just going to take half of them out. So they are the grains I'm going to give away, and you can, yeah, there we go. I'm going to put them in this pot here. Put my kefir grains back into my pot. That can go in there to be drunk tomorrow. So the good kefir, the stuff that's strained, that has got all that good active bacteria in it. And I was having this conversation with a friend of mine who I'm sharing the grains with, Harley. I said to him, he'd been buying the shop bought stuff. The shop bought stuff tastes different. Although on the label it says active enzymes in it, lactobacillus and bifidus and a couple of other ones I can't remember the name of. But there's no one, how bioavailable is it to you when it comes off the shelf? Two, when they've labelled it and packaged it, I'm sure it's got active grains in it. How active are those grains when they get to the shelf and they get to your fridge? I know these ones because my kefir on a cycle of about a week. and that'll be gone. Probably, yeah, 5 days. And if I get this back over. So that's my old pot. And to be honest with you, since I've been doing this, my pot, I can do that. I've not ever cleaned this pot out. I've just let it ferment and ferment. And then, yeah, like this is just some organic milk. I try and get the freshest, most organic milk I can do for wherever I am at the time. And then all you do is pop milk back in it. And then you whack it on the side to ferment. Really, really simple. Once kefir, all the milk, all the old grains have gone back in. Give it a little shake, and then we'll put it on the side to ferment. And I'll leave the kefir on the side. This is day one, and depending on the time of year and the temperature of the rooms, depending on how quickly the kefir will ferment. When it's hotter, it'll ferment more. When it's colder, it'll take longer to ferment. So it's about watching it and watching for the milk to kind of separate and split. But I'll do a couple of videos to show you what that looks like. But that is day one, hour one. So I don't think I explained it properly at the beginning of the video. Depending on how many kefir grains are in the jar, and depending on the temperature of the room, is depending how quickly it ferments. So if there's more kefir grains in there, it's going to ferment a bit quicker because it's the grains that eat up the sugar, or the bacteria eats up the sugar. That's what they use as fuel in the milk, the lactose. And that converts into the fermented kefir that you get. So when there's less grains and it's cooler, so it's a bit of a feel. So it's a bit like any tool. If you're a plasterer or a baker, or you use a material a lot, you know when you're using the material, when the material is ready to be used. So the more you do it and the more practice you get at, you will understand the texture, because when it goes too far, you can kill the grains. Also, it tastes different. So once you taste it, you get a feeling for it, but you'll get used to it the more you do it, eh? I've decided, look, you can see how much that's fermented now. I think that's good to go in the fridge. I think by the time I get back from work, it'll be a bit more split, and you're trying to get it so it doesn't split and separate too much. There we go. Kefir done.